Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman from Earth -1, or more commonly referred to as Devastator versus Superman 2-pack. Now both these figures have had a single release before, and I'm really curious what the differences are. It looks, upon first glance, like Devastator's eyes are more red than the single release, and Superman has an angry head and a different hand. So let's go ahead and take a look at the packaging here. As you can see, we've got giant Devastator versus Superman. There are two display stands in the background, looks like two collector's cards, and this nice display base down here. DC Multiverse, Batman, Earth -1, and Superman. At the top, Dark Knight's Metal. That's where this Devastator comes from. One side here, we've got Batman, Earth -1, and Superman. The other side, pretty much the same thing. At the bottom, there's a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode in case that helps anybody. And then the back side here, you can see Devastator just throwing Superman around, and here are a bunch of other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures you should check out. So no further ado, let's open them up. And here are all of the different McFarlane DC Multiverse 2-packs they've made so far. The next one is supposed to be Hal Jordan versus Dawnbreaker. Alright, now that we got these figures out of the package, here they are with all their accessories laid out. They both come with a collector's card, a display stand, and they have this really cool display base in the front. Now Devastator is essentially a Batman and Doomsday hybrid from Earth -1. He's got all the physical powers of Doomsday and the brains of Bruce Wayne. I mean, talk about a lethal combination. And then Superman here, this is the Action Comics 1000 release, the exact same body, but it has a new head, and it looks like it has one of the hands from the Infected to Superman. In this video, we'll take a look at both the figures individually. We'll look at their accessories, height, and articulation. We'll compare them with the original release of Devastator and Action Comics 1000 Superman. And then we'll compare them with a bunch of other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures and a bunch of other action figures from different various companies to see how they fit in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix them with. So, let's start off with Devastator. So here's Devastator. He comes with a display stand and a collector's card. But before we take a look at his accessories, let's take a look at the actual figure. So upon first glance, it looks like his paint job overall is a little bit lighter than the single release, and his eyes are a little bit redder. So as you can see, it looks like he's in the middle of using his laser eyes. This guy looks great. He's a very heavy, massive figure. A lot of plastic here. I saw an interview with Todd McFarlane where he explained that he makes a lot less profit off figures like this, but they're so cool. His company is privately owned, so he's allowed to make stuff like this to have less profit margins. He doesn't answer to shareholders that demand certain things. You can see all these spikes coming out of him just like Doomsday. He even has this stuff coming out of his head that simulates bat ears. Spikes all around his chin. He's got the articulated jaw. Very cool. Going further down, single jointed elbows, single jointed knees. That's one thing Todd McFarlane seems to prefer on larger figures, and I kind of get it. Got this logo on his chest area. Shorts, pants ripped to shreds. A little bit of his shirt remaining there. Just spikes all over him. Looking very nice. Different texture all over this figure. The detail is just absolutely amazing on this guy. The Devastator. Now let's look at his accessories. Let's start with the boring stuff. He does come with this McFarlane display stand. Typical McFarlane stand. It's a black perfect circle. Got the DC logo at the bottom. One peg for the peg holes on his feet. It's very thin, very basic. And here's his collector's card. As you can see, they actually show the figure of Devastator here. Usually they show the comic inspiration. Batman from Earth -1, Dark Knight's Metal. Backside, there's a description and some statistics of him. And here's the collector's card that came with the single Devastator on the left. That has the comic inspiration. And then the 2-pack collector's card on the right. It simply shows the figure. And there is this display base. This is a shared accessory for both figures. This thing looks absolutely fantastic if you ask me. The bottom is brown, sort of like dirt or stones. Looks like here it's broken down, probably where Devastator landed. You can see all this rock coming up. It does have one peg for the peg holes on their feet. One peg, even though it's a 2-pack, you'd think it would accommodate both figures. A lot of spikes coming out of the ground, in particular this large one here. The detail is very nice, a lot of texturing, a lot of different colors mixed together. The effect is fantastic. I am really liking this display piece. Very nice, kind of hollow on the inside. Devastator's foot fits perfect in this thing. The peg fits into the peg hole in his foot, and then all that broken up ground fits perfectly. It's clearly meant for his foot to be there. This is about how it's going to look when using this display base. This base really only accommodates one figure. Looks like Devastator's one meant to be on this thing. I took the flight stand that came with the original Action Comics 1000 Superman and make for a pretty cool little display here. Here's this new display base next to the display base that came with Flash versus Red Death. This one is way better. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's sitting at about 7.3 inches tall, which you can translate to about 18.5 centimeters. And if you go to the top of the ears and the horns, about 7.5 inches tall. Now Devastator here is too short. It's a very massive figure, but he should be even bigger. The original Devastator was made before they were doing Build-A-Figures, so if he was released a little later, he probably would have been a little bigger. It's still one of my favorite figures in the line, but he should be about another inch or inch and a half taller. Now let's look at his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up and down about this much. Pretty nice. His jaw's articulated, can open that far. Very, very nice. I love articulated jaws. Very appropriate for a Devastator figure. Shoulders on a ball joint. You can go out about this far, a little less than 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. There's a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area, just increasing the range of motion here. The plastic on the butterfly joint looks a little bit plain compared to his shoulder and chest. His elbow here, it goes in about a 90-degree bend. It does have rotation as well. His wrist here, it is hinged, can go up and down, and it also has rotation. Got a ball joint his torso here, can rotate from side to side, go forward and back a little bit. Another ball joint his waist, can also rotate from side to side, go forward and back, giving him a pretty good range of motion his torso here, especially for the size of the figure. Legs go about this far, not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. He has these soft goods shorts on top, and they're not going to obstruct the articulation much. They go forward about that far, back, not too much. They have a considerably good amount of rotation at the thigh here. Very nice. Single jointed knees go back a little bit less than 90 degrees. They can rotate as well. And then his ankle here goes up, it goes down. It can tilt and rock. And it can sort of rotate a little bit. Then he has toe articulation as well. Now let's look at the Superman figure. He also comes with a display stand and a collector's card. But let's go ahead and check out the Superman figure. So I'm very fond of the Action Comics Superman body. It could be a little better. The Infected Superman surpassed him, but I think it's very nice for what it is. This one here has this angry Superman head. He is about to get into a giant physical fight with Devastator. He looks mad. The coloring is fantastic on this guy. It's like the perfect shade of blue and red for his cape. Metallic red on his absolutely fantastic looking Superman symbol on his chest. He does have single jointed elbows, probably one of the biggest drawbacks of this guy. Double jointed knees. Just has that iconic Superman outfit. He does have a different hand here. I believe that is from the Infected Superman. And one thing they didn't correct is they still have his balls on his wrist. They're blue. And in all reality, the end of the sleeve is here. They should be flesh painted. The Infected Superman and future releases had that corrected, but they didn't fix that on this 2-pack. Angry head, different hand. Everything else should be the same. Now let's look at his accessories. The display base is exactly the same as the one that came with Devastator. And then we have his collector's card. As you can see, this has the Superman figure flying in the air. Superman from Action Comics 1000. And at the back, there is a description of the figure. If anyone wants to read that, pause now. Here is the collector's card that came with the first release of the Action Comics 1000 Superman. This has some comic-inspired art here. And then the new collector's card simply has the action figure there. And it would have been nice if we got a flight stand, just like the original single-release Action Comics Superman came with. But I do understand why they didn't. We got a lot of plastic in this pack as it is. And if you want to pop off his hands, they come off no problem. The single-release Action Comics Superman came with some different alternate hands, so his mold was made for the hands to be easily removable. And if you wanted to put a hand on from the single-release Superman, you could absolutely do that as well. Now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, sitting at about 7.0 inches tall, which is going to translate to a hair under 18 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Start with his head here. Of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up and down about that far. Can tilt his head just the tiniest bit from side to side. Shoulders on a ball joint, it can go out more than 90 degrees, up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area, just increasing the range of motion there. Bicep cut below that. Single jointed elbows below that. His wrist here, it can rotate and it's going to be hinged as well. He's got a ball joint in his torso. It can rotate from side to side. It can also go forward and back a little bit. He's got another ball joint in his waist. It can rotate from side to side, also go forward and back, giving his torso a very nice range of motion there. Legs, they go out about this far. Not a ball joint, but a similar type idea. Forward, about that far. Back, about that much. There is a little bit of rotation, but barely any at all. Double jointed knees go back all the way. And then his ankle here, forward and back, can rotate around, can tilt and rock, and there is toe articulation. Here's Superman getting ready to take on the Devastator. I don't think he knows what he's in for right now. Devastator's just lifting up Superman like he's a ragdoll. And Superman's starting to realize at this point, Devastator is not to be taken lightly. Superman gets up off the floor and decides to stop underestimating Devastator. And Devastator gets Superman right back onto the ground. And at this point, Superman decides to go all out against Devastator. But for every trick that Superman has, Devastator has an equal ability to counter him with. And even when Batman comes out in his armored Hellbat suit to assist Superman, it's still going to be a big challenge taking out Devastator. Don't forget, he's as strong as Superman and as smart as Batman. And only by working together are they able to get the upper hand to defeat Devastator. Now let's check them out next to some other action figures, starting off with some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here's the new 2-pack Devastator on the left, next to the original single-pack Devastator on the right. The paint job seems to be a little bit darker on the original Devastator, and then there's a difference with their eyes. Here's the original single-pack Devastator's face up close. And here's the 2-pack Devastator up close. Either had a really late night last night, or he's getting ready to use his laser eyes. And here's the 2-pack Superman on the left, next to the original single-carded Superman on the right. They are 100% the same figure, same body, same paint job, but they do have a different head, and the new Superman has a different right hand. Here's the single release of the Superman's head up close. And here's the 2-pack version's head up close. Here's Devastator with the entire Dark Knight's metal team. And here's this new Superman next to all the other Superman figures from McFarlane's DC Multiverse. And we have 3 more Superman figures coming in the next couple months. The Death Metal Superman and the 2 Snyder Cut Justice League Superman figures. And here they are next to my entire collection of McFarlane DC Multiverse figures, including all the variants I've got a total of 65 figures and 2 vehicles, and I'm not even fully caught up. Red Hood is the only figure they've released in 2 different ways with absolutely no differences. Now let's check out Devastator next to a couple of Doomsday figures. Here he is next to a Mattel Multiverse Build-A-Figure Doomsday and a DC Universe Classics Doomsday. I noticed the Build-A-Figure Doomsday is actually bigger than McFarlane's Devastator. Then, next to a Mattel Batman vs. Superman basic 12-inch 1/6 scale Doomsday. This Doomsday doesn't look very good, a pretty soft sculpt, but it's pretty much the only Doomsday from Batman vs. Superman, and it's very large. I use them for my 6-inch scale figures. And here he is next to my entire Doomsday collection. I know there are some pretty nice Doomsday figures out there, but my collection is predominantly Batman related, so I didn't really feel like I needed any more Doomsdays. And then, here's a Super Doom figure next to Devastator and Superman. It's about the closest thing you can get to a hybrid of Devastator and Superman. Now let's check them out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how they fit in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix them with. Since the McFarlane DC Multiverse line are 7-inch scale figures, I'll start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect and work my way smaller. And I'll try to include as many Superman figures as I can in these comparisons. Here they are, next to some of the McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. And here they are, next to some DST, or Diamond Select Toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles Superman figures. And here, next to some NECA figures. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And here they are, next to some Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods action figures. Then, here they are, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse Superman figures. And here, next to some Mafex figures. Then, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here they are, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, here they are, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, this is a pretty cool action figure set. I really do like the McFarlane 2-packs, but I will tell you, neither one of these figures is as good as the single release. This Devastator, his paint job is just not as detailed. He doesn't have that dark gray wash to him. The sculpt is identical, but he just looks softer. And then Superman here, although his angry face is pretty nice, I definitely would prefer, if I could only pick one of them, to have the single release with a more standard face. Getting this 2-pack is completely unnecessary if you have the single releases. In fact, it's not as good as them. Don't get me wrong, they're still great figures, and if you missed either one of these, this is a great 2-pack to track down. Overall, I'm still going to give these guys a 7 out of 10 rating. It's a very nice 2-pack. It's really cool to have a Superman with an angry face. That's not something you get very often. But if I had to pick one or the other, I would go with the single releases. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.